Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another live stream. This is the Karen Bashford Show, Empowerment Mentor, and we talk about topics that can affect specifically women in midlife and perhaps a crisis of confidence, or maybe just in a better, more holistic approach to the way in which they live their life and to affect positive outcomes, often just by changing your approach to the way you live. Today's topic is a particularly interesting one. How are your moods affected by color? I know personally that they are. I mean, to start off, I find that blue for me is the color of honest intention, and yellow, which is my favorite color, is a more dynamic, upbeat, personal color. I find very strong for me. So I am often found wearing blues and yellows. I do like that. And my background at the moment is yellow as well. But so, I mean, how are your moods affected by color, Karen?
Okay, well, I chose this topic simply because I'm aware that with my old website and my new one that's being developed, and both of them are going to work parallel together, the colours we've chosen for them are very much about emotionals and
Right.
how you respond. And obviously, brilliant red is fiery. So unless you want to sort of really liven things up, you don't really want to be wearing red. And I'm amazed sometimes when I look at some photos that they've got red in a bedroom. Interesting, because not only does it improve your sex life, probably, I'm not saying it does or doesn't. However, how is it impacting your energy regarding anger? Because red, you show a red to a ball and it gets angry. And it has the same impact on us as human beings. Red is the colour that can really fire you up. But it's also our foundation. So sometimes we need to wear red to settle ourselves into our solid, grounded being to be able to get through life.
The color of the color of my band, funny enough, is red.
Yeah.
Our first album was called Red. Funny enough.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very much about that energy of firing, being motivated, getting things done. So yeah. But would
okay.
you put that necessarily on the website or in a bedroom?
I don't know. I think the classic bedroom pairing is red and black, isn't it?
So they say. I've never done red and black, and I probably never would because it's not my colours.
Yes. One, not really mine either. But
Well,
so what colors do work well together? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I
they
just
go well together, but would you really want black because that's to do with grief, or dark? Not far. What combination?
well, well, is black always to do with grief?
It is associated with grief very much because if you look at funerals and things like that, most people wear black. And it's
Right.
also very much that energy of darkness, of night and things, that are more, I want to say devil, that's what's coming through, that kind of devil energy, that energy of I'm going to rage at things and such like, because if you consider the devil was always that evil aspect. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Black to me is more salacious and underground, and well, if you look at gothic stuff and all the rest of it, they're not angry; they're just morbid, slightly. But of course, they're also a sort of darker, more earthy. Yes, earthy.
Yeah. But then you've got the brown to be earthy. Brown is a really good colour, but some people just can't have brown in their life because they just cannot cope with the colour. But that's a very earthy colour. That's very much a colour that I personally would choose if I'm just feeling that I'm quite settled in myself. It connects me to the ground and it feels really, really good around me. But would you necessarily want that in a room where you're sort of wanting to perhaps liven things up? But then there's so many different browns, reds, and even shades of black.
Well, exactly.
In some way or other, grey, you get it's more like a blue grey on that, but it's still grey. And how do we feel about grey?
I think grey is very corporate. I always think it makes, like, for instance, on some of the shows I work with, the borders we put around everything, it is always grey, because it makes it look finished and complete and upstanding and all the rest of it. And I tend to find grey tends to be that sort of feel.
Yeah, and to me, grey is very much that colour of in between, I suppose. This is my personal feeling about it. It's an in-between colour. It's neither black nor white.
Right.
So that middle half, I suppose, of I don't want it, as you said, gothic or dark, but I don't want that pure starkness of white. So grey is a good colour to go for. And yeah, grey suits, we use the term grey suits. So yeah.
It's because it's not so strong, is it? I mean, grey is like a mellowed out black. Yeah. But what do you? Okay, let's pick the most obvious color I'm going to talk about, which is purple.
Oh, funny enough, I just picked that card up.
And of course, the opposite of the color wheel to purple is gold, and hence the band on my hat, because that's the opposite color to it. But the purple seems to make people feel energized and powerful and in control and directed and all those sort of things. Not in the same way like red does, which is, as you say, pump it up, pump it up. Purple seems to be much more considered, but still quite powerful. Would you agree?
Yes, and if you consider purple is the colour of royalty.
Ah, yes.
So yeah, it's that power energy. It's also the colour of connection to the universe. If you use the colour purple, it's intuition. So yeah.
The togas worn by the Romans in their Senate were all edged with purple. So I suppose it's still got that derivation from those in control, if you sort of mean.
So yeah, but if you consider it is connected to intuition, so technically you could say that with purple you're actually connected to your intuition and therefore are more in control.
Right.
Because you're following your intuition rather than your ego.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good colour. It really is. But again, some people just cannot use it. But it will affect your mood.
I think it's a divisive colour in many ways. I think it's become associated with witchery and paganism and such like, and whether or not that's a logical connection or not, people often perceive that if they wear it, they are associating themselves with that kind of idea set, and for better or worse, I mean, my wife loves purple, which is the reason why I wear purple in celebration of her, really. My favorite colors are orange or yellow, sort of, really. I find yellow a strikingly upbeat, and even when you're holding it, it makes you seem brighter.
Yeah, is that fair? Yeah, it's a warm colour. It's a colour. If you look at the sun, it's always seen as yellow, even though sometimes it looks white. It is seen as yellow, and yellow brightens you up. It makes you feel more settled in yourself, more confident in yourself, because it is that energy of that warmth and that it's almost like it encloses you.
Right.
But again, colours impact different people. We're all going to smile at yellow. whether we
Absolutely.
like it or not, because it's that kind of color.
Can we talk
But
about blue? Because blue is an interesting color in itself.
mhm,
It's a very common color. You find it all over the place, really.
you've got
Yeah,
that blue and that blue.
that's the slate blue kind of color on the left. Yeah. But
Yeah.
blue, and also, of course, you got the much more austere royal blue.
Mm. Which
That
is what my website's is on. And that royal blue it's like it's an energy in itself. Like this blue is very much about communication, because it
well,
relates to your
I
throat
see that,
chakra.
and immediately think of sky. I think of sky and water. That's what I think
Yeah.
of immediately.
So it's communication, because it's the emotions, it's that kindness of, everything that we talk about.
Yeah.
We say the sky's the limit. So
Yes.
yeah. So it's very much about the communication. Whereas this one is, to me, is very much more like, I don't know, it's a blue that you could associate with, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not coming in.
Arrival.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's more that kind of blue. And it's a crystal. And these crystals, I have hundreds of crystals in my flat, simply because I love their energy. And every now and then I'll go and pick one up. Doesn't matter what color it is, I'll go and pick it up because it gives an energy. And for me, this feels more like that night blue that you get just as it's sunset before it's full dark.
Twilight sort of color.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
kind of blue, and
Yeah.
that is, to me, is quite a sense of safety.
So do you get? Hang on. Is that a sense of safety from the color, the stone, or from the time of day?
For me, this is the color of safety.
Okay.
But not everyone would be. But it's like you're switching over from full visibility of daylight into total darkness, and you get that bit in the middle, and it's like that visibility feeling without being fully exposed, so it gives a sense of safety. But then
The amazing thing is the most commonly color associated with safety is, of course, road safety, and that's that really weird yellow, which is actually called chartreuse, which is that yellowy green color. I find that color almost offensive, and it doesn't make me feel safe. It puts me on edge.
well, that's the aim of it, isn't it? Because it's putting you on edge, so it's making you be more aware of safety.
Yeah, well, yes, but I wouldn't call it a safe. To me, it doesn't feel like a very safe color. I see that, and it makes me feel unsafe.
Well, maybe that's what they were psychologically attempting to do when they designed them.
Absolutely, I think you're probably bang on there.
Yeah, but
So
the
is that
thing about
are
it
they?
is,
So how do we know which colors are ones that we should gravitate towards?
it depends on how you're feeling. If you're
Right,
feeling unsettled, go for yellow, go for red. Red is the color of foundations. Your foundations. Yellow is very much the sacral color. No, beg your pardon, the solar plexus, which is that energy of getting things done. And if you're not feeling safe, you need to get things done to change that sense of being unsafe to safe.
right.
But it's also a warm color, so it makes you feel more confident. So it depends literally on how you're feeling. I would recommend to anyone get a rose quartz. It doesn't have to be this big, it can be a small one. It can be sort of this size or even less. But rose quartz is very much about energizing you to be more settled, to feel more safe. It's a healing crystal. But the great thing about it is you can carry it and you'll always feel an element of safety. It doesn't matter where you're going, just carrying a small one will give you an element of safety. Because pink is the heart. the chakras, the pink is the chakra color of the heart, or the green. There's pink or green. There's a light green. They do a light green as well. But my favorite, and I've got a stone in my ring for it, but I love malachite. Look at that green. Look at it.
Very green.
It's really, really earthy green. But this is the stone of truth. This is the crystal of truth. So if you give this to somebody, they have to tell the truth. It's that kind of energy to it.
Okay.
So color is very, very important. If you want somebody to speak the truth, try and wear blue.
Yes, I always I always wear blue because I see it as the color of truth and honesty. All right. Well, look, at this point, I'm going to quickly do a little bit of promotion. Sorry. As usual, if you want to start your discussion about colors or any topics that can affect your wellness journey, and what I mean by that is if we think of ourselves as going through a series of experiences and you apply a little bit of extra knowledge to it, you can make those experiences much more fortuitous from the point of view of maintaining your personal health, not just mentally but physically. That's a place that you can start that conversation. And dare I mention the fact that there is a weekly podcast that I edit, that Karen does, and which is marvelous. You don't have to be female to listen to it. It's got some excellent stuff in it. I've often listened to it with my wife because it's got some good stuff in it. This is a link to get you there. It's called the Empowered Women Life Leaders Podcast. It is available on everywhere you could think of that you could get podcasts, from Apple to Amazon to whatever. It's all there. Oh, Podbean, which is where where it actually resides. But I would say listen to them. There are a number of episodes. They're also available on the Empowered Life Leaders podcast as a video, so you can watch it there as well. Either works well. Please do go and listen. I guarantee you'll feel inspired afterwards. But would you like any last words, Karen, before I wind the show up?
Just be safe.
There you go. Don't wear safety yellow around me because I don't feel safe around it. Anyway, it's actually called safety yellow, funny enough. So to all of you out there, try and keep your feet on the ground. Keep grounded. Keep reaching for the stars, but please do look after each other's mental health. Until next week, bye-bye now.
Bye.